The debris is settling on Snow White. Snow woke, basically. It irritated everyone by hitting every cultural landmine on the way to its anemic $43 million domestic opening. I mean, this thing took so many ingredients of the day and delivered the worst-case scenario. It's a tale of free speech versus dumb speech, age-old studio coddling of petulant stars, pandemic, fire, woke politics. If it could go wrong, it did. The biggest problem for Disney, however, was Snow White herself, and it began when filming began in 2022. Rachel Zegler complained on social media that she was not invited to the Oscars in 2022 when she was the star of West Side Story. West Side Story had 7 nominations at the Oscars, but she was not one of them for lead actress. A fan asked her what she was going to do. What are you going to wear to the Oscars? She said, "I'm not invited, so sweatpants and my boyfriend's flannel." She was also in production at that very time in London on Snow White. The Academy ended up flying her to the Oscars, where she also presented. Disney did not acquiesce. They did not fly her, but the Academy never likes any kind of drama. They freak out over that. So they invited her. She presented at the Oscars, the whole thing. It was nice. She made a little, reference to her only being invited 6 days ago when she was on the stage presenting with Jacob Elordi, but she made it. Shortly after, at the big fan fest that Disney puts on, D23, she criticized the original 1937 actual story of Snow White, the tale itself, bemoaning that the prince, quote, literally stalks her. Well, that didn't, I guess Disney, they didn't shut her down immediately on that one. Why didn't they? I mean, this is probably the most important piece of IP that Disney has, but they let it go. Then there was the self-inflicted wounds, mostly surrounding wokeism. The name Snow White is inspired by a snowstorm in this, not from having skin as white as snow. Subtle but noticeable censorship. They say the fairest of them all. They kept that in there, but feared it would celebrate the whitest woman, so they expanded the definition to mean kindest and most fair, as in F-A-I-R, not F-A-R-E. So she says, yes, I am Snow White, and no, I am not bleaching my skin for the role on social media. She condescendingly described her critics as losers obsessed with maintaining the bloodline purity of cartoon princesses. That didn't go well. And then the mighty Peter Dinklage spoke out.
Literally no offense to anything. They're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Yeah, so this sort of sent Disney into a tailspin, sucking up to the dwarf community. And they thought that they would just promise CGI. So they announced in early 2022 that the company would take a different approach to her 7 companions to avoid reinforcing stereotypes about dwarves. They released a photo of Rachel with the CGI dwarves. That pissed off the dwarf acting community. I mean, they don't get a ton of looks, right? The irony that they got minimized by one of their own is sort of amazing. No good virtue signaling goes unpunished, but groveling revisionist apologist ones do. So actress Ali Chapman, be here in a little while, she starred in many movies, including one that comes out April 18th, which is ironically called The Death of Snow White. And we'll take a little look at that when Ali Chapman comes a little later on. But, look, there was the curse of the actors' strike of 2023, which prevented Snow White from finishing on time and pushed the release of the film from March 2024 to March 2025. In that time, the war in Gaza began, and Gal Gadot stepped forward who Rachel's co-star, as a former member of the IDF. She railed in support of Israel. She spoke at the Anti-Defamation League convention. Understandable, Gal Gadot is Israeli, a soldier. Rachel Zegler is from New Jersey. In August 2024 at D23, the fan forum, Rachel posted on X a thank you to her fans, loving the Snow White trailer. Moments later, in a total non sequitur, after saying thank you for loving our movie, she decides to post a follow-up afterthought, an addendum to her post, which says, always remember Free Palestine. Well, that garnered 8.8 million views. It did not slip by. This caused panic within the studio. So the producer of Snow White, Disney producer Mark Platt, flew to New York City to meet with Rachel's team. She ultimately refused to take it down. What's interesting, Mark Platt flies to New York to talk to Rachel about this. Please stop posting these things. Just within the hour, something very interesting happened. The son of Disney producer Mark Platt, a guy named Jonah Platt, was on social. Someone commented on his page, hey, your dad, what kind of jerk is he to fly to New York and censor a 20-year-old girl? What kind of crap is that? He just fired back. This is like 30 minutes ago. He fires back, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? This guy, here, he says, you really want to do this? My dad, the producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand a 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity. This is called adult responsibility and accountability. And her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on the film. She hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of all the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie and its success. Narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. So, interesting, by the way, Jonah Platt, the kid who's standing up for his father. The other brother, his brother, the other son of Mark Platt, is Ben Platt, the great singer, Dear Evan Hansen. So death threats came into Gal Gadot, which is wild over all this. Disney had to hire security for Gal Gadot. Now, post-Trump election, Rachel posts, may Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Now imagine the inside of the Disney suite and all the executives who are running around going, what is she doing now? A film already weighed down by expensive reshoots just had their 23-year-old star alienate and piss off half the audience. They hired security for Gal, had to hire Rachel, a social media expert, let's call that really a chaperone, to vet her posts until the movie opened on March 21st. Literally, please keep your mouth shut until we can salvage what we can to make this movie a success. For comparison, Gal Gadot kept all of her posts limited to hostage sympathy, never connected them with the movie, but pro-Palestinian groups started calling for boycotts of the film because of Gadot. And then, of course, the anti-woke crowd, because of Rachel Zegler. They banned the press at this point, won't even let the press cover the red carpet. So a combination of bad reviews and all the negative press ultimately dumps flames on the fire. Never mind the COVID delay and in production and a fire on the set that happened. So at this year's Oscars, Zegler replies to a follower calling Gal Gadot, Rachel says, a professional pageant queen. I assume she meant she's so beautiful and statuesque, but obviously at this, anything coming out of her mouth just tanks it because, of course, Gal Gadot's an Israeli soldier. Now, back to the issue that we spoke about before. Ali Chapman is with me right now. A actor of the highest. Ali, I think we've met, have we not?
We have met. It's good to see you again.
Where did we meet? On Access Hollywood?
Yes. I was on there with my castmates. We were promoting our show, The Venice Beach Freak Show, which was on AMC, and you had us on as a guest.
Oh, my God. Ali, how many productions have you been in? How long have you been an actor?
I have been an actor since 2007. My very first role was I was a body double stand-in for Will Smith's daughter, Willow Smith, in the movie I Am Legend. So that's what got my start in the industry.
Unbelievable. All right, we're going to talk about what happened ultimately with Snow White, and that is that they decided instead of using actors from the dwarf community, they were going to use CGI. And of course, that's 7 unbelievably meaty roles on a film with a $270 million budget. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick look at your next movie, which is called Death of Snow White with Ali Chapman. Let's take a quick look at that.
They do appear to be quite mad.
Ali, it looks very violent and bloody. Are you okay? Is everything good?
Yeah, this is the dark side of the, very popular Snow White tale. So it's a little, gory. Definitely not the, the very really sweet version of Snow White. This is the dark side of it, but it's amazing.
Okay, well, let's get to so. Peter Dinklage stepped up and he was like, "You're still playing the tropes of 7 dwarves, living in a cave. Well, it's really a fantastical, magical cottage, but whatever. There's lots of little creatures and animals, and there's 7 dwarves. This is the story." How did you feel? First of all, when Dinklage said that, and also universally, more importantly, Disney's decision to go CGI?
Well, I listened to Dinklage's viewpoint on that, and I guess, he's talking about stereotypes of how we're cast often in films. And I understand that, and I do know, a lot of times we are cast as like elves, leprechauns, mythical creatures, and stuff like that. But at the same time, this is, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. It is. The dwarves are very, they're very much a huge part of the tale, and
central.
Yeah,
right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
central.
Probably have a great amount of respect for Peter Dinklage. I would assume he's on the Mount Rushmore in the dwarf community of actors, right? Let alone the community of actors. Period. Dinklage has done huge things.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in my eyes, I consider him to be an A-list actor, and it's great because he is a person with dwarfism. So it's great to have him, in the industry, and hopefully that'll open up roles for many more people like myself, many talented actors and actresses that have dwarfism. So I do know where he was going with that, but at the same time, like we were saying earlier, that the dwarves are an essential part of the story, and I felt like had this production gone a different way, and at least just made the role available. I mean, made those roles available. We don't have to take anything that we don't want to. If that goes against what we're, what we want to align ourselves with, that's fine. But it just should have been. I feel like it was so important, and I feel like it should have been real, actors instead of using CGI.
In your world, you would have cast 7 actors with dwarfism.
I would have, absolutely.
Yeah. So were you mad? Were you pissed? Do you see? Because we've gotten into this culture now where, only a gay person can play gay, and only, a lot of people think, and it which flies in the face of what actually happened here, that an actor with dwarfism should be playing at least those roles, and hopefully many more beyond it. Yeah. So where do you fall on the whole thing? Is it okay to CGI at all, or would you say, on behalf of your community, absolutely no, not never?
Well, I think CGI has its place, meaning, just for instance, let's say you need a lot of background actors. Well, and again, okay, I'm kind of hypocritical when I say that, because again, why not just hire background actors? So I guess what I'm really trying to say is, yes, I really feel like those roles should have been available. I definitely would have, if given the opportunity, would have tried to audition for that. It's such a huge. Snow White is so huge. It's been around since 1937, and different people remake the movie and tell their versions of it, and so pivotal in our society. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. But I just think they really kind of missed the boat on that. And again, if an actor that is small statured doesn't align with that, or maybe feels, oh yeah, the stereotypes are there and we were offended. Again, you don't have to put yourself in that. But there are as a little person actor, I can say we have such limited roles as it is. It is so hard for someone like myself to break out in this industry. I've been in it since 2007, but again, it's very slow. And for that to be, I was excited when I heard that they were going to make that movie, and I'm like, oh, great. But I never received...
I got 1 in 7 chances right here. I got 7 shots at this.
Yeah. And I never received, the audition. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then to learn that, they're just going to do CGI. I'm like, no, this was made for us.
So if you were sitting in front of the Disney executives right now and they called you in and said, we want to have a listening party, will you tell us, your feelings? What would you tell them? Hey, cut the CGI altogether? Include us?
Yeah, well, I don't want to, again, I don't want to talk negatively about Disney. However, what I would just say is, what's already done is done. The movie's out. There's no way to go back and do that. However, if they were maybe perhaps going to do a sequel, I don't know if they would do a sequel for that. But if they were, I would say...
Well, they'll eventually do it again. Because
yeah, exactly.
It's, right? This is one of those...
Sure. And so with that, I would say, hey, let's not go in this direction of CGI. You did it and it's there, but let's open this up for, real actors to be able to be a part of this story and maybe other stories that you have in the future. I mean, there's going to be so many more movies coming out of Walt Disney. So, I think they should definitely be open to having, someone like myself, be able to be cast in these movies.
What would you say to Peter Dinklage? I mean, do you feel like he threw maybe your fellow actors in the community under the bus?
Well, very respectfully, I would say to him, first of all, I would tell him how phenomenal he is.
Of course.
But I would say, listen, a lot of us are, we're not there. The opportunity is not there. And, maybe respectfully, don't speak for everyone, but... let us decide if that's something we want to align ourselves with. And again, I get where the sentiments were coming from him, but he wants us to have, just like myself. I mean, I've been everything. I've been a bear. I've been a elf and a leprechaun, and I want to I want to do.
You want a damn
roles.
Romantic comedy?
Yeah, exactly. I'm ready for my rom-com.
Yes, girl. And I'm gonna tell you something you should be ready for.
What's that?
A Revlon commercial of some kind. Your skin is gorgeous. Your lips, your teeth, like you have this face is so stunning.
Aww.
Where's your wrinkles?
Well, thanks to my
girl
esthetician.
Doesn't tell her secrets.
Shout out to my esthetician. Hey, Wendy. But I try to get my 8 hours of sleep. I drink my water. Again, I'm in this industry, and I wanna keep going, and so I know I need to be camera ready. But I am open to any and every opportunity in TV and film.
Okay, my last question is really I just want to help enlighten me for a second. When you look at dwarfism and what your whole life will be this way, do you look at it as a blessing, as a curse, as just God's plan, and here we are? How do you...
kind of all three of those things. I think initially in the beginning, when I was younger, I was definitely insecure. I looked at it as a curse. As I have gotten older and I've gotten a little opportunity in film and TV. It's small, but it's going. I'm starting to look at it as a blessing, and definitely, I think the end game will be, this is definitely God's plan. He has a plan for me.
Fantastic. Well, I hope your rom-com comes, and good luck with Death of Snow White.
Yes, thank you.
And it's wonderful to see you again.
Oh my God, it's so good. Full circle. I love it.
You're so adorable. Thank you. Very beautiful, beautiful woman.
Thank you.